for the referendum for an ordinance for our $6 million for our roads. Please come to the podium, say your name and your address.
Do you have a copy of it?
Anybody, pardon?
Do you have a copy of the referendum?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The ordinance, yeah.
Anybody? Because I'm going to move on. Okay. Kathleen.
Hey guys, my name is Lee Bossier. I live on West Meadow Road. So just looking through this real quick, does any of this cover Bunker Hill? To anyone's knowledge? This,
Go ahead,
this
wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry, who's going to
We have a contract for a water and sewer project there that's going to be a complete reconstruction of Bunker Hill by the contractor.
do you know when that's happening?
I'm sorry?
Do you know when that's happening?
This summer.
This summer, okay. So, just seeing on here, Lake Winnemog Road, is West Meadow Road covered, and if not, why? I don't see it here.
Talking about what? What are we talking about? The improvement?
Yeah, we're talking about,
Yes.
the only thing I care about, the reason I came to this meeting is to talk about the road project.
No, I don't think so.
So,
Well, if it's not on there, let's make it easy for you. If
Yeah.
it's not on that list, it's not going to be.
so my question is why?
Yeah.
Because
Why?
I came to this meeting, if you guys remember, with a whole bunch of photos, right? Like 6
Yeah.
months back with how bad my road is.
Okay.
It's gotten worse. And if I want to sell my house, I'm probably going to lose like a lot of money because
Okay.
my road is undrivable.
Oh my God.
So I just want to know why it's not on
Bunker
here.
Hill.
And are you live on Bunker Hill? You talked about.
I live on West Meadow. I have to go through Bunker Hill to get pretty much anywhere. But
Okay.
the first, you answered my Bunker
Alright.
Hill question. Thank you.
Yes.
Right.
So my question's about West Meadow.
Well, another
There's-
maybe. I wish Ray. Go ahead. Bob.
There's 3 years' worth of paving projects on the ordinance there. And I've spoken to Roy about your street specifically. You might want to talk to him. Roy
Okay.
Kavanaugh.
So for the 3
It's
years
my
of
impression that it's going to be done soon.
Okay, but it's not part of this bond.
No.
It may be.
In the bond, each year, there is, I believe, $750,000 that were kind of more broad in nature, and then as they pick the project, that money will be spent. So there's a little over $2 million that will go to other roads to be fixed up that are not specifically on that list.
But by the time that they still have to do the water and sewer project, so there's no sense of paving a road and then have to dig it up again. So they're waiting for it all to be done and then pave curb to curb. But if it's that bad and you need something done right now because you want to sell your house, we're having a public works meeting next Monday, 7 o'clock.
Okay, and that's separate from this proposal? Or we assume that could be included in some
It
of the
could be
generic
included.
funding in the proposal?
Yeah, well,
Now,
Okay.
another
we can talk about it.
and another thing that we don't know, there are also roads being budgeted for in our regular budget. These aren't the only roads that are going to be paved
Right.
in the next 3 years. Every year we have roads that are going to be mill and filled or repaired. That is in this budget here.
Okay.
So
yeah,
there's multiple budgets.
Sure, so thank you. I'll take a look at the larger one later. I think the only other question I really have is, from what I've seen since I've been a resident in Watertown, since I grew up here, I lived here my whole life. I moved away and came back about 3 years ago. So in the past 3 years, I've seen the deterioration of our roads in such a big way. Right? I'm sure that's no small part in why you have a bond here. But what I'm seeing are the plows is a huge problem, and I just want to know why this hasn't been addressed. Like right in front of my house, about 20 feet of curb was taken out from plows. My neighbor lost most of his curb, and his property is about 100 feet long. So when I see patches happen from Public Works, they come with the truck, they dump some asphalt, they don't stamp it, they don't complete it, they leave, there's rubble all over my street, and when the plows come, they just dig up what was replaced. So it feels like we're just wasting a lot of dollars and effort, and I'm really confused why.
The place you should be talking that is Public Works Department subcommittee meetings. They're there. We have them every month. The chairman's sitting to the right of me.
Okay.
Those are the people you talk to, and also Roy Kavanaugh, who's our director, would be there also. Those are the issues that they hear. This is for the $6 million to start repairing some of those issues that you're talking about. But tonight is not the night to talk about what you just talked about. You're better off going to the subcommittee meeting once a month.
But if you give me your email, I'll email you the place and time, because we're redoing the town hall, so every month it's a little different. So if you give me your email, I'll be happy to email you the time and place.
Cool. Thanks. I'll follow up with you afterwards.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. My name is Lee Bossio, and I live on 17. Bossio is B like in boy, Ossio. First name is Lee, Lee, and 17 West Meadows Road.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next.
My name is Tony Ciriello, 849 Bassett Road. I just wanted to come out and show support and speak in favor of the ordinance. Living on Bassett Road, I would just attest to the fact that the road has failed structurally. The road needs drainage, which with the lack of drainage has contributed to the deterioration of the roadway. And I'd like to point out that on the bend where I live at 849, the roadway drains to the watershed area, and there's a serious amount of erosion, so I think there's a little bit of an environmental implication there as well. The town, I don't know, 2 years ago replaced a culvert on Bassett Road just prior to Linkfield, and I think the improvements there would be a great amendment to the work that was completed. And quite frankly, long overdue. The town and Eversource had done some tree clearing out there. I think that's great. We've always had a reliability issue out there in terms of power going out every time the wind blows. So hopefully that's been improved, but I think the work that's planned out there would be money well spent. In addition, I just want to bring up the fact that I suspect at some point there will be further development out there at the farm. I'm not sure. I see surveyor stakes. So I just think while it's been a low-volume road for many years, I think looking to the future, the improvements would be, as I say, money well spent. And I would speak in favor of all the projects on the list. I think the town's done a pretty good job of addressing most, if not all, the other bridges in town. There are just more than a couple dozen bridges in town, and Wilson Street, I think, is one of the last few. So I just want to come out and show support for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anyone? Catherine?
Catherine Camera, 31 Cottage Place in Oakville. Where to start? So it's not that I have a problem with, I definitely don't have a problem with the fact that these roads all need to be fixed, no doubt about it, but what I'm trying to understand is how we came to needing a $6 million bond. Well, I think we came to need that is because there's been a lack of, it's been minimal, the work that's been done on our roads for a very long time, sort of like the, fixing the emergencies. So when the first gentleman asked about the bonding, and then you had said, well, there's more money that would be spent that's part of the budget for public works. My question is, so we have the $6 million, we're going to do all this work that needs to be done. Then you've got this other amount in the budget, but is it enough that, are we going to need another $6 million bonding 3 years down the road? Because what you have in the other budget is just continuing that minimal that we've been seeing for a long time. Where's we're going to budget X amount of dollars so that every year at least a good portion of road work gets done, so that we don't have to have this very large bond that's going to be paid off by our children's grandchildren, over
Understood.
the years. If you catch what I'm saying.
Right. Well, right now, as we use town road aid to do some of the roads, but if we did what you wanted us to do, our budget would go up 2 mils anyway. But right now, if we do one road every 80 years, we could get all the roads done. Okay, and that's ridiculous. So,
Correct.
Yeah, right?
Absolutely.
So we're down to once every 20 years, which is not unbearable. And we had a bond about 8 years ago? Was it 8 years ago? That was $4 million, and we did quite a lot of work with that. But again, we don't want to increase our town budget by 2 mils just to get some of the roads done, so we end up doing little by little, and it just isn't working. So we have to do this bond so we can get a bulk of it done.
So in
I have to
essence,
wait
it's always
8
going to be
years.
bonding, though. So
Pardon
in
me?
essence, it's always going to be bonding that's going to
Probably,
get this
yes.
done. Can tell you it's not every 20 years, because I've been in my house 21, and my street, I've been told, forever,
Yeah.
that my street's going to get done, but, whatever. Made me think of another question. So has there ever been any thought of kind of addressing with the public? Because I know that so many people complain about our roads, that maybe there's something, a survey or something could go out to see if people, how much they would disagree with getting a little bit more money put aside for the roads if they understood what we're doing. I'm just asking
We're
if
already
something,
having a
information
hard
is
time
out there.
with it. People don't want their taxes to increase, okay?
I
And
absolutely
that would
agree
really
with you.
increase your taxes.
However, if they understood, there's different reasons for the increases.
That's true,
And,
but-
sometimes if they understood what's happening as far as the bonding, and that, we're doing 6 million this year, and it sounds like this is how we're going to be doing our roads for forever. I'm just saying, could some information go out to the public that explains a little bit more about this versus just seeing, there's a $6 million bond for the roads, that this is why this happens, and that people, I don't want my taxes to go up, but if I knew I was going to be paying another $100 or $40 a month, and it was going to the roads, I personally wouldn't have a problem with that. I don't know, maybe other people would. But
Yeah, well, here's the problem with that,
I'm just saying,
Catherine.
educating the people on
Right.
what's going on with the roads,
Well,
because it really is something that bothers a lot of people.
We have a director that looks at the roads, knows which roads need to be repaired. There are many. If we had a meeting and we called the meeting here and for who wants to have the roads fixed, we need the auditorium in Waterbury, because everyone would show up and our
Of
budget
course.
would increase by about
Of
$30 million
course.
or
I
whatever.
didn't ask
We can't
about-
do that.
I didn't say about having a meeting. I said, is there any way to do a survey? That could be online, just to get some information on what people, I'm not asking you for a meeting. I'm saying,
Okay.
is there any way to educate the public?
All right. Go ahead,
I'm
Bob.
sorry.
Survey of-
It's fine. I'm sorry that I'm asking you to educate the public on what's going on, because you can see here that there's not a lot of people. And I just
That's
feel
right.
like people should understand that what's
And-
going on with the bonding
And the person that
versus
came here,
taxes. But that's
let us
okay.
talk, give us our information, but you want to argue. We don't want to do that. We don't want to
I'm-
debate here. This is not a debate. Thank you. Thank you.
Couple of comments. Why $6 million? Because that's what fit into our debt service and what we could afford. As far as putting it in the operating budget, if we put $6 million into the operating budget, taxes would go up over 2.5 mils. So that's why this is the most economical, most logical way to get our roads in shape.
Hi, how are you? I'm John Eimer. My home address is 620 Davis Street Extension. I got to be part of the Bunker Hill project. It was a lot of fun. I'm not getting on that. Couple questions for you. Big thing is, obviously debt service, and I hate the idea of buying on credit. And I feel like with issuing bonds, we're doing a lot of buying on credit, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's really how we're going to repay this. You talked about this $4 million in outstanding bonds. What's the maturity on those that we currently have $4 million in outstanding bonds on? Does anybody know?
Looking for
That's part of our debt service. so
It's
what
in
you're
our
asking.
budget,
Right, I understand it's in
a
the,
detail of each
right, but
bond we have.
But as we keep these things in the budget, what we see is other expenses increase, correct? In order to, we have salary increases throughout the
Right.
town. There's regular things that increase, so we put this in the budget, but we're still putting a caveat of 3%, 3.25%, whatever the bond rate, coupon rate's gonna be on the bond, correct? So we're still automatically inflating these dollars. If it's $6 million that we're putting towards it, we're increasing that by 3% or 3.25%. I don't know what we're looking at as coupon rates, and it doesn't really outline it here, correct?
We won't know until bonds issued.
Our goal is to keep our debt service flat. We don't want it rising and dropping. The bond rating agencies look at you maintaining a debt service that's level.
No, and I understand debt service. My question goes back to, as we continue to have additional expenses in the town,
Those would be in the operating budget.
understood, but as we look at the budget as a whole, there's a certain number of dollars that come in from the mill, correct? And that's what we have to then operate on as a town. So as we increase debt, and we have an interest that we have to pay to the debt, I understand it's in the budget, but we continue to build and grow that budget. It has to grow because we're adding additional expenses that are coming into it.
Some debt is retiring, we're trying to maintain a level debt
And,
service.
and that was kind of what I was asking about with the $4 million. Is that a retiring debt? Is that
Yeah,
something that's?
yes, if you look in the budget, you'll see when it was issued, when it retires, so on and so forth.
So these bonds, how long of a term are we looking at on the bonds? Are we looking 5-year, 20-year? 20-year bonds?
Yes.
All right, so I guess going back to our point, if we're looking at 20-year bonds and we have $6 million and we're saying the $6 million is only going to be a portion of the, you said it was $30 million for the total, or $60 million for the total project? We're going to do the
To
entire.
do the whole town, we don't have an estimate on.
Okay, so again, though, if we've got a $20 million budget, we're going to have, or I'm sorry, a 20-year bond, we're going to have to overlap bonds.
Yeah.
We're going to be buying more on debt down the road.
As we've done for many projects, schools, roads, whatnot.
I understand, but we look at the mill does go up. So my thing just goes back to, is there another way to look at line items within the budget and find places that,
We have three budgets. We have the town budget, we have the Board of Education budget, and we have our bond budget. That bond is separate than everything else, and we do that purposely, so it does not drive our budget up. And that bond, consistently, we keep at a certain number every year. So like Mr. Cannell talked about, once, as we retire these older bonds, we bond more so we can keep that particular line item the same. So basically, that particular budget does not drive our budget up,
budget.
our mill rate. It just as the other two do. And that's how we get our town hall done, that's how we get our roads done, that's how we get our schools done, that's how we get all the big items done, so we don't have to put them in the budget, so it does not drive the mill rate. Because if we did not have bonds, our mill rate would be out of sight. That's what we do.
Right.
So,
but if
You're
we're
right.
looking at this going forward, we're stating that these bonds are 20-year bonds.
right,
And we're saying that we're doing and it's going to be roughly 3 to 3 1/4. That's kind of the going rate for state bonds. So it's going to be somewhere in that neighborhood that you're going to be looking at for these bonds, assuming that we're AA rated or better. So if we're
Right, we are.
going and turn around and saying, okay, now these are 20-year bonds at a very low interest rate. They're very attractive interest rate.
Right.
The other bonds that we have maturing, I don't know what rates those may be at, but the question still comes in, yeah, we're trying to service the same debt load, and I understand what you're saying. The problem that we have is by trying to service this debt load, we're going to reduce the number of dollars we can use for bonding purposes if we try to keep the line item the same as interest rates rise. So the more we're using from here, over time, the less we're getting from the other budgets, correct? In order to keep the mill rate the same?
the mill rate, yeah, well,
Right, if we're going to keep the mill, because you're saying we're not going to adjust the mill rate to do anything towards the bonds.
right.
Again, these bonds, as they mature, and the other bonds that are maturing are going to still have a debt rate. So it's going to be less dollars we can get, and looking at inflation, $6 million in 20 years is not going to be worth $6 million.
There's nothing we can do about that. There's nothing we can do about that. We're going to buy these things every year. We need roads, we need buildings, we need these large expenditures, and that's how we do it. And it's mostly on retiring bonds and making sure that our bonds that we pay out every year do not hurt or do not change our budget and our mill rate. That's the best way we know, and that's what we do. It's been working for many, many years, and that's the way we're going to continue to do it until someone else comes up with a fantastic idea, but we don't know of any yet.
And I'm in no way trying to be combative, but I would argue that it's not working if we're having this much of a kind of backup and things that need to be accomplished. I sat here for one meeting and they said we had 18 years worth of tree work that we needed to do to the town. And that was at one of the budget meetings we came to. Now we're saying we have 20-plus years of road work that we need to get done.
Had it for a long time. That's not new.
I understand, but it comes back to the attractiveness of the town and how the town is looked upon by other people. And
Okay.
I do understand keeping the mill rate low, and I understand that that is something that attracts people to the town.
Right.
But it's also going to be, is it visually appealing? And to continue to take on debt versus raising the mill rate in the short term or having a short-term mill rate increase to pay for these projects, it's less in the long term for the residents and less in the long term for everyone else if we're not buying this on credit and it's not a debt service.
I just told you, I don't know how many times we keep that debt service the same, so the mill rate does not go up. That stays the same and stays consistent, and we use that money, that particular budget, as we retire debt, and it's secular.
No, understood.
So I don't know, I don't know what else you want us to do, but we gotta, it's not gonna change. I think we all appreciate your input.
I understand and I agree exactly where you're coming from. What I would suggest is our public hearing for the budget is April 10th. I would recommend coming to there and state a similar point, because that's where we would be able to put more money into the general budget for roads above and beyond what we might bond. So I just
Yeah, no,
wanna throw that out
and
there
I
that-
appreciate what you're stating about letting the debt service stay the same, and I understand that wholeheartedly, I do. And I'm not arguing that you're doing that, I believe that. My point is that as inflation happens, and I know we can't control inflation, as inflation happens, we are at historically low rates still. As those increase, we're getting less and less for the same debt load.
Right.
We're gonna get less and less done for the same debt service, so we need to get ahead of it in some way, because by staying behind this, we're never gonna get above it. We're always going to be trying to figure out where do we get the next dollars from. We're always going to have, things that are going to be blight to other people coming into the town.
Are you promoting or advocating a larger bond? You want us to borrow $20 million?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
No, not at all. I'm actually advocating for something I hate to even state, but that the mill rate would take place of some of this
Yeah.
bonding.
It won't
And
pass.
instead of putting this much into a bond.
It won't pass. It won't pass. We've been doing it now. Can you imagine, okay, $6 million, I believe, is 3 mills. We, and we have a budget right now. So if we go outside and we tell the people, the citizens, that we want to increase their budget by 4 mills,
We'd
really?
we'd actually
Never
be
get it
talking
passed.
1 mil, because we're talking about this happening over 3 years. So if it's 3 mills to get $6 million, we're
Yeah.
talking 1 mil rate. It'd be one increase of 1
In addition
Per
to
year in
our,
addition.
per year,
further-
correct?
Okay.
So it'd be,
all right.
I'm not here to be combative.
Yeah, okay.
I honestly am not. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to promote a different way of thinking of this
Right.
versus taking on more debt.
We've
I'm a
thought-
finance guy, and
Right.
that's what I do for a living. So to sit here
Oh,
and
we-
say we're
we
going to
have-
take on more debt,
Yeah.
it becomes a
Right.
bone of contention for me. So again, I'm not trying to be combative,
Okay.
and I
Well-
apologize if I'm sitting here giving you agita. It's not my case or my point to do that.
Okay.
I'm just trying to look at it from a different
Right, no,
perspective.
I understand that, but we've had the last 10 minutes, we've had the same conversation, and this hasn't changed. And all we're trying to do, or all I'm trying to do for the council, is to tell you, this is what we've been doing for a long time, this is the best solution, without driving the debt service, or without driving the mill rate up for people that have to pay. And typically, they would prefer us not to drive their taxes up. They're being raised enough without doing that, and this is the easiest and the less hurtful way to do this. Because these bonds do not drive the budget. And I think that's a great way to do it. The budgets today, we have 2 budgets already that drive our increase in taxes. We don't need another one. And as long as we, as a council, are responsible and not increase the debt service, I think we're doing a good job. And that's what we're doing. We're spending the money as we need to, and as we make sure we do not increase that debt service. And that's the best we can do right now.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Right.
Could you state your last name again?
Thanks.
I'm E.I.M.U.R.
E.I.
Oh, I didn't think we need an hour, only a couple of
You're
people.
on 60 Davis Street?
620.
Who's next?
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Catherine Camera, 31 Cottage Place. I just had one more question.
Right.
I know last summer, the guys were here about the bonding, but what rate is this, when this goes, is it going to be at the rate that we are used to having? Or is this going to be the first time that it's going to be looked at again? I know that they did their, forgive me, I kind of have a headache, their analysis that we're on like a negative or something like that.
We'll be going out in October of this year, so it's whatever the rates are at that point.
In October, not what they
October.
were before? Or
No, you
what
don't
they
go
are?
with an old rate, that's passed and done. Upcoming bonds will be done in October, and
It'll be a
whatever the
new
rates are.
rate,
Correct.
and we don't know what that
No,
is.
no, we don't.
We don't.
There's a bidding process
Right.
by
I'm sorry,
financial.
bidding
Bidding
process?
process by financial institutions.
Okay, all right. How would find that out? I mean, I could just ask, or will we know? It'll
When
come
the
out
actual bids are happening, is that what you want to know?
when we know what the rate turns out to be, like after it's.
Report that? Yeah,
During the bond sale.
during the bond sale, that's all reported.
Okay.
So, yes,
Is it
there's a-
safe to say that it's probably 3%, maybe less?
Our last round was 2.3%.
Yeah.
Well, that's the percent. I'm asking about the rating, what we're going to be rated at, or
Oh,
that's what I'm
oh,
asking about.
oh,
I'm sorry,
that's
maybe you
different.
misunderstood.
Oh, okay, yes, through the rating agencies. We'll be going through that probably,
When we bond.
in September, just before the bonding.
And so it will be
And it
as
was part of the
the.
official statement when that's completed, after the whole bonding is done, yes.
Okay,
Everything-
all right.
All the details are in the official statement.
Thank you.
Just a follow-up to one of the questions that was asked before. How does the town council generally get this type of messaging out to the citizens of the community? How would, just other than browsing the website, how would I know?
Town website.
Yeah, town website and
Town Times.
Town Times. Town Times.
Is it in Town Times? Do you know what percentage of the town would actually know about this? Like, how many people click on this link on the website? I'm genuinely curious.
Well, I don't know that, but they get the, this is gonna go into referendum, they're gonna get the vote, yes or no. We're not approving anything, all we're doing is.
Sure, but I think this
Okay.
is really important, right? Because people are giving their input, and that way, when it gets to a referendum, it's more appetizing for the town.
Newspaper and a website, I don't know what else you want us to do.
We don't have an official Facebook page, we don't have any other sort of notifications
It's-
in the town.
Town website.
It's on our website, it's on our town website.
Right, so my question was, on the town website, how many people actually click on these links?
Don't know.
Whoever's
We just
interested.
don't
Feels
know.
like-
We do what the law states that we have to do, is that correct? We follow that particular statute for the state of Connecticut, and that's what all towns and city does. They do exactly what we do. We do exactly what they do.
And I think the meetings are also posted at the town hall
Town
and a
clerk's
couple
office.
other places.
Yeah, there's different posts and
How
stuff.
many
I
read
mean,
those? I don't know, but they're all.
Gotcha.
posted
I
there.
just want to state, I think it's a miss that we don't know any of these stats. I think it'd be helpful for residents, because seeing a lot more people here to give a lot more inputs and weigh in to make sure it's a better proposal is not a bad idea. That's all I have to say.
This is-
If people were interested, they'd show up.
We
I
have-
think if-
we have-
if-
we
if
have-
people were aware, they would show up.
we have multiple meetings. Everyone knows what our meetings are twice a month, and this is the number we get all the time. This is not new to us. And if you're living here 20 years, and if you don't know when the town council meetings are, can't help you with that one. You know what I mean?
Sure, but to find out what was in today's
Okay.
meeting, right? You don't want to hear what I have to say, because you're just going on every other town does it, right? This is what we've always done. Those are non-answers. They're non-answers.
Okay.
Right?
Well-
The real answer is, yes, we should look into it.
Okay.
Right? This might be important to figure out at some point.
Okay.
That's it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, what about the council? Council have anything to say? Any members at all? Okay,
Wait, just a second.
Quick thing.
go ahead.
With the rates as low as they are now, I don't see it being a bad thing to, I would say, get some cheap money to get the roads done, because even if we did increase the budget, let's say $1 million to start the next project, it's still a drop in the bucket. 6 million, I mean, gets it going, it's gonna do
A
a
lot of
handful
roads.
of good things, but it's still just the start of that process.
Right.
And at 2%, 3%,
Anybody
not
else?
too bad.
Hearing none, meeting adjourned.
That's what it was, okay, okay, easy peasy. Let me go get his email.
We have a non-meeting now, right?
Yeah, I gotta get his,